Welcome to the Revitalize Podcast, a podcast where we have conversations to help you experience emotional, spiritual, and physical wellness as you lead at your church, your business, or in your life. Here are your hosts, Danielle and Kevin.
So welcome to episode 23 of the Revitalize Podcast. We're your hosts, Kevin and Danielle Presso.
And we're really glad to be here.
Aren't we though?
We are.
We are so glad to be here.
In the summertime, although I don't feel like it's summer. How can you be in a t-shirt?
Because you just said it's summertime.
It is summer, but it's chilly today. I'm in my shawl and my woolly socks and everything.
It's Canadian summer.
Yeah,
right?
But, I don't know. It used to be that August was the hottest month of the year. I don't think that's the case anymore.
Because we used to always go camping in August, and August would stink.
Okay.
It'd be cold and rainy, and we'd be in sweaters and all huddled by the fire, freezing to death.
Maybe send us your message. What do you do in August?
Yeah.
Are you camping? Are you complaining? Are you freezing?
Or all of the above.
So yeah, we are glad to be here.
Yeah.
Still summertime and back from our holidays.
Back from our holidays. A really nice time of just unplugging. That's why it's been a while since the last episode.
That's partly why.
Yeah, but we just kind of completely disconnected from social media, technology, work, kind of things like that. So that was really nice. Are you feeling a little bit more refreshed and invigorated being back at it this week?
I do actually. I feel refreshed. I feel invigorated. I just started a new job, so
Yeah.
I'm doing 2 jobs right now, part-time.
And we'll talk a little bit about that at the end.
Sure.
Give an update on what's going to happen here on the podcast because of this new job.
Sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I do feel
good.
I feel like my holidays was good restful time, and
Nice.
I feel like I'm hitting the ground running. How about you?
Holiday was very relaxing. Probably the best I've ever done to unplug and relax.
Well done.
But I did it so well. Now I'm exhausted and I need more time off. Just being back at work, and I love
You're
my
an
job.
overachiever.
And I love my job. I
An
really do.
overachiever at
But
rest.
being back at work for 4 days, I'm like, man, I need another 2 weeks off.
Mm.
I got like more novels to read and more Superman comic books to read and more boating to do. And
Got to do that at night and weekends.
exactly. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about today is, if you've been following along for the last 13 weeks, is we have been doing the WildFIt challenge. Again, we are not sponsors of WildFIt in any kind of way. We receive no kickback from the WildFIt people in any way whatsoever. We're just a couple that did it once before, saw some really good results, and wanted to do it again one last time before our membership expired.
And we certainly have not done it perfect.
No, we are far from perfect.
Perfectly?
We are far from perfection.
And we're
on this time around.
even not even perfecter than the last time.
No, we probably did better the first time.
Yeah.
We probably did better the first time through. But maybe we just kind of explain a little bit kind of what the tail end of WildFit's all about. So, I mean, I can summarize a little bit, and then if we kind of...
Why don't we just do a catch-up first?
Let's do a catch-up.
So, we haven't done this podcast probably for the last 4 weeks or so. So
Yep.
during that period, there is not a lot of things that change other than we do get more and more teaching from the trainer Eric Edmeades.
Right.
And so in that time, so if you feel like, wait a second, what do you mean 13 weeks? We were just at whatever else. It's
Okay.
a matter of nothing much has changed.
No.
It was we have been, or we're supposed to be, following in deep spring.
Right.
And what does that mean? Eating
No processed food, no sugars, no gluten, no dairy, no sugars, no fruit. Like basically, it's
fruit, vegetables,
high quantity of vegetables.
and even vegetables, root vegetables
Non-root,
are out.
no root vegetables.
Even
a lot
like
of vegetables.
beans and those types of legumes,
No legumes.
are
Exactly.
out. So really, high quality meats and vegetables
And a whole lot of water.
and water. So anything else?
No, that was about
deep
it.
spring?
That was about it.
So that's it for deep spring.
And I think a few nuts and
yes,
seeds.
nuts and seeds. That's right.
But not all nuts and seeds. Not peanuts. Not cashews.
Not cashews. Yeah.
Things like that. So yeah. So there's a whole list of things.
And very, very specific kinds of beans, but
Exactly.
most of the beans and legumes are out.
Yeah. And so you do that for a significant amount of time, basically rebooting the body, right? Rebooting the pancreas, how we process our stored fat, how we're processing sugar, all those kind of things.
So we did that well the first time around on WildFIt.
We did.
We were sticking to it to a T.
We did. We really did.
Now, That was just before we went away to Hawaii when we did it.
That's right.
So there was Christmas over it.
But we did good on Christmas. Like, I remember
really well.
Christmas, I ate a whole lot of turkey and a whole lot of salad.
Yeah. So, I mean, we did do it. We did it the one time through. The second time through, we were not sticking as closely. We've done very well. Like, lifestyle. Yeah. The lifestyle change has been made.
Right. Oh, I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have not been sticking to deep spring like that. I would say we've been closer to summer eating. So describe basically what summer eating is.
Oh boy, put me on the spot here. I got to remember what that is.
You did such a great job going through deep spring. Why don't? Okay, then I.
Well, the summer eating. So you start reintroducing fruit, for example. So again, not tons of fruit, but you start introducing fruit again.
And especially first thing in the morning.
And well, that's it. Fruit is always on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, like before you eat anything else, so that you're actually digesting fruit first on an empty stomach.
And when when you can handle, your insulin can handle the sugar boost at the beginning of the day, when you've been coming off of a fast, supposedly.
Exactly, and then you start introducing like root vegetables. I think come back in the carrots, beets, things like sweet potatoes, things like that start coming back. In there as well. I
mean, when you're reintroducing fruit, it's supposed to be just berries and things like that. Like, so if you think about spring and summer season, it's like what is actually
what food is available. Like,
right?
if you were growing that food, what would be available?
But in the extension, usually by end of summer, you have most of the fruits available to you. Right?
Exactly.
So it's that kind of idea. It's still not having the processed sugars. It's still not having gluten. It's still not having dairy and so on.
Coffee, alcohol.
I think, aren't those, I guess, well.
No, I don't think that stuff ever came back.
Well, okay, here's where we're at now.
Okay.
Is
now I'm eating whatever I want, whenever I want.
Exactly.
No, I'm kidding. But it's we're a little close.
You know what? Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The whole idea with WildFIt, right?
Yeah.
Is to make intentional decisions.
Right. Again, because it's not a diet. Right. It's a lifestyle, and you are choosing to eat for the lifestyle that you want to have.
Exactly. So, I mean, not everybody is going to choose to give up coffee. Not everybody is going to choose to give up dairy. Not everybody is going to choose to give up processed sugar altogether. But you have all the information. You have all the. My body felt like this when I took all these things out.
Right.
And my body felt like this before, or when I put them back in. And so. You have all the information really that you need in order, and you've seen maybe if you have issues like me with diabetes or anything else, you might have seen numbers change on those medical scales and so on. So, I mean, it's really about information and being intentional with that information. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Right. And that's the goal, right? And so that's what I love about whether it's this program or any kind of program that you're doing. It's what's your goal? What are you hoping to accomplish? So again, in our case, we really started this journey to deal with your type 2 diabetes. We really wanted to see those numbers come under control, right? And you had another doctor's appointment right before we went on holidays and got some blood work done again. And your numbers are still controlled.
My numbers are still identical.
Yeah.
Which is like those
pre-diabetic. It's not even like where they're like pre-diabetic and they're worried about you becoming diabetic. Like, you're in the normal category.
I'm in the normal category. My weight has maintained. I mean, I would like to lose more weight, and so that's another goal.
Everybody.
But I have lost, like a significant 30 to 40 pounds in this journey. Not this time doing it, but certainly over, like in the last year or so with doing WildFit and other things.
Right.
But, I'd like to, get more serious again, but I understand what more serious means. It means deep spring and sticking with it for an extended period of time.
Exactly.
And that's like what we were describing before. Meat and veggies and nuts and seeds and
a whole lot of water.
And that's what you're on for a really long time until you reach
about
your goal.
5-6 weeks,
Until you reach your goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas 5-6 weeks, maybe for you, I mean, you reach your goals. You kind of look at the right foods.
Male high metabolism.
Exactly. So, anyways, that's
So that's what I like about it. So again, knowing that was the goal, knowing that those blood sugar level numbers was the goal, knowing that we're you're still in those goals
Yeah.
with the way we're eating. For me, that was the goal. That's
Yeah.
why we did the challenge.
We really
right?
have made a lifestyle change.
Because that was the change we wanted to make,
Yeah.
was changing the relationship with food to improve Danielle's health, to ultimately improve Danielle's wellness. And I know for a fact that when Danielle's health is improved and her wellness is improved, my wellness is improved.
But also,
right? And our relationship is improved.
But even more
because
than
of
that,
stuff.
like your wellness,
Yeah.
if you're eating the same way that I'm eating,
Sure.
it's going to be improved.
Oh, absolutely.
Nonetheless, yeah.
Yeah.
So we
well,
really,
because this is what we've noticed too, and as we've wrapped up the program now officially, and again, we've started to reintroduce some things, and maybe not all of the best things. And again, coffee with
and
cream.
your coffee has cream.
Of
Mine's
course
still
it
black.
does, because black is black coffee. I don't know how anyone can do that. I learned it's not coffee I like, it's cream I like. I like a little bit of coffee with my cream.
Yeah.
But over the holidays, again, we took some time off, 2 weeks off. You know, you start introducing some treats and some junk food and things like that. And we had to get a poutine. We're up in northern Quebec, or northern Ontario.
We didn't have to. We chose.
We chose to, but, you know, a couple of times we had some poutine. And it's like, well, and even today, or the last couple of days, we're talking about how we've been feeling.
Yeah.
Right? How have you been feeling?
How have we been? Okay, so I have a mix of feelings.
Yeah.
So one, I have noticed that my body feels like a little achy.
Yeah.
Less so achy, more like needing to be stretched out. You know, like
Right.
so
Yeah.
because I also haven't done much exercise in the last couple of weeks. That's
Right.
had an impact as well.
Sure.
So for me, food and exercise both
Yeah.
together are
Yeah.
like, you know, really make for
Mm-hmm.
like getting that inflammation down.
Right.
So I felt that. I don't know what you're getting at.
I was
Was
just
that it?
asking. Just
Yeah.
asking how you feeling.
Yeah, overall.
Because
I
we
feel-
know when you introduce some foods that are not the best for us,
I know.
you know that it
I
impacts us.
reintroduced dairy.
Right.
Yes. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having some tummy trouble.
Right. Yes.
So, because I've had so many food intolerances and sensitivities, and like I could list a whole bunch right now.
Right. Yeah.
I have a lot of foods that I've had to cut out of my diet.
Yep.
Once I learned what they were, for years I've had to take out all these things.
Yep.
The more recent one is sugar, because
Yes.
I didn't have diabetes before. I do now.
Mhm.
And sugar isn't one that I wasn't tolerating well.
Right.
Well, as a diabetic, you're not tolerating it well.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
one of the things that I have a hard time completely letting go is dairy,
Right.
because of the sensitivities
Mhm.
and ailments that I get. It's like the mildest. Yes, it
Sure.
gives me tummy trouble,
Right. But it's worth it.
but it's worth it.
Yeah. That's kind of the funny thing about this, right?
Yeah,
You kind
so-
of weigh those pros and cons, and
And sometimes too, it's how much of a good thing.
Right.
Like I don't put cream in my coffee. That I gave up years ago because
Right.
it doesn't work for me.
sure.
But will I have some curd cheese every now and again?
Right.
Will I have some ice cream? I mean, that's got the sugar, so I've got to be careful on that.
Yep.
You know, but the dairy is tough for me
Mhm.
because there's a lot of foods that have a little bit of like grated cheese on top of it.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, for me, and I don't know about you, like there's, in terms of what's been reintroduced, for me, I've reintroduced fruits.
Yep.
I've reintroduced coffee.
Yep.
I've reintroduced my diabetic friendly wine every now and again, a glass here, a glass there,
Right.
and I've reintroduced dairy.
Yep.
I think that covers what I've reintroduced.
Yep.
Everything else is basically the same.
Okay.
And of course there have been those
Yep.
treats over holidays, some dark chocolate covered almonds and things like that
Right.
I have to get under control because I don't want to go back to where things were.
The high consumption of them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How about you?
Well, I introduced a lot. So whether it's dairy, corn, popcorn,
Yeah.
brought that back.
Yeah.
So a lot of corn, corn on the cob, popcorn.
Summer eating.
Exactly, summer eating kind of food. But so nuts, peanuts, particular chocolate covered peanuts. Those are
You
like
really love peanuts.
peanuts are my thing.
That's so
I
weird to me.
love peanuts, and peanuts don't love me.
No.
I wouldn't say I have a peanut allergy, but I definitely have a peanut intolerance.
Yeah.
Peanuts don't love me.
No.
They really don't. Or technically speaking, my gut doesn't love peanuts, but I love peanuts and love peanut butter. So that's annoying. Licorice.
Yeah,
Twizzlers.
you love licorice.
Red licorice is my favorite treat in the whole wide world.
So weird too.
I know.
Our treats that we like are
so
not
different.
the same ones.
Yeah, exactly. Well, most of the things we like are different.
Yeah.
So that's what's funny about our relationship.
Thank God we like each other.
Good thing, eh? Good thing that works out. Woo! 25 years, we made it. Okay. What else did I reintroduce? Well, I've been eating potatoes. Those will come back. So I've reintroduced quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know what's causing the problems because I'm feeling it. And where I'm feeling it is funny because I'm feeling it in a place where I don't think I've ever really felt it before.
What's that?
My knees.
Yeah.
My knees are killing me.
Interesting.
Like I'm in, I wouldn't say pain, but I am
Tightness in your
constantly aware of my knees. Like when we sit in the hot tub and I sit with my legs straight, it bothers my knees. And then so when I curl in, it bothers them. They're bothering me at night. They're bothering me when I sit. So I'm kind of always sitting cross-legged.
Yeah.
At like my knees. And knees have never really been an issue for me. It's always been back.
Yeah, I've had knee problems for as long as you've known me.
So again, it's not pain, but it's like this inflammation, tightness of the knees.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a flexibility thing because again, we took a bit of a break from doing my DDPY, but even I did a 40-minute workout yesterday. And I'm doing all the moves. Like my knees are fine. They're not tight.
Yeah.
I'm still just as flexible. But there's just this tension in the knees that is
so you're wondering
me.
if it's inflammation.
It's just food inflammation, right?
Okay,
That's so I got to now look at. If I were to guess, I'd have to say the corn.
Yeah.
Because we've been eating a lot of corn over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of popcorn, a lot of corn on the cob.
Yeah.
Even last night was fish. We had corn.
Yeah, and the thing of corn is it's genetically modified.
It's a GMO. Like it's a genetically modified organism.
Yeah.
Like it's like, God didn't make that.
And it ain't natural.
God didn't make it. It looked like it's natural. It's corn, but no, we monkeyed around with that a lot, right?
Yeah.
So
and now it's monkeying around with your knees.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. So
yeah, because we've also had over holidays as well. We had those big squashes.
Yep. Right.
Those big giant zucchinis that needed something to be done with them, and we made some zucchini loaf.
That's right.
And that was with gluten.
Oh, that was
with
so
wheat.
good.
So, and then even at your mom's, you know, like you had the buns and you had, things like that.
So a lot of gluten.
It could be gluten.
It's hard to know.
It is hard to know. And that's where I have found, because when I found out about my intolerances, it was through an elimination diet. I've probably shared this before on the podcast, but just to kind of go over that a little bit again is doing an elimination diet. So it's basically getting to deep spring.
Yep, scrap everything and just meat and vegetables.
Meat and vegetables and water, and then reintroducing one thing at a time over a few days. So that you can see, is it bringing a symptom?
That's right.
Because when everything is pared back, you notice that symptom better.
Absolutely. Yep.
Even better, even worse.
Yes, you notice it. Yeah, well, it's clearer.
Yes.
It's
much clearer. When everything else is gone, then you go, oh.
And you only introduced one thing.
Exactly.
Compared to 7 things.
You know exactly what it is.
Yeah, if you introduce 7 things, what is it?
Yeah.
You have no way of knowing, where your intolerance is.
So, I mean, that's something you could consider doing if you want, to find out what is it that's affecting your knees, so you know what to keep out.
Yep.
But overall, with your thinking, and I know you have some ideas about what's what, I have groceries to do. So I need to know what are we buying, what are we not, what are you choosing back into your lifestyle?
Yep.
And what am I choosing? I mean, I have a good idea of what I'm choosing, but what about you?
I choose it all.
Everything.
I want everything.
Eat.
I don't want to be
glad,
limited.
be
I want to be free. No, tomorrow you die. Yeah. No, that's not true at all, actually.
Tomorrow you don't die?
Well, it could. I don't know. I'm not a prophet. Bound to happen eventually.
Please don't die tomorrow.
I'll try not to. Do my best. I think for me, really being the mindfulness, like the gluten-free, dairy-free, junk food free, I think, is important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, again, whether it's kind of following the, WildFIt, deep spring, summer, winter kind of seasonal idea, or whether it's just following the DDPY phases, like, 'cause that breaks down into phases. Like, phase 1, just get rid of junk food. Phase 2, it's the gluten-free, dairy-free. And then phase 3 and GMO free, and then phase 3 it's all organic and juicing. I don't think I'm ready to go organic and juicing because I can't afford to eat organic, like just free range chickens and $17 cucumbers. Like, it's just not realistic. But that DDPY phase 2, which I think would be the WildFit summer,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think is really kind of the way I'm looking at this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen the results there.
Yeah.
Again, am I at the weight that I want to hit? No. But that also
you
could be.
Good.
Well, thank you. But that also could be muscle density because I've been working on that as well.
Yeah.
So as I'm working on muscle density, then the weight's going to get heavier. So I got to really be more focused on the measuring tape more than the scale. Right?
Yeah.
And so I got to get back on those regular measurements. Am I hitting the measurements and get that little pinching device to make sure that, that's gotten a little soft there again. So you kind of do that little pinch test,
You are a braver man than me.
Yeah.
I've got my shawl on.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize in this black t-shirt, you're like, suck it in, sit up straight, suck in your gut, and you sit there and let it hang out, So I think that's, if I was looking at,
dairy-free,
except for cream in my coffee.
GMO-free.
You can't take that away from me!
And
just kidding.
junk food-free.
Yeah, well, and again, but here's the thing, it's all things in moderation,
Yeah.
right? Again, you don't have junk food every day, right? But if it's like, okay, it's Friday, and we do Sabbath keeping on Friday, because we're in ministry, right? I'm pastoring, work on Sunday, so we like the Friday sundown to Saturday sundown Sabbath idea. So if we're going to do date night on a Friday night, we're going to go to a restaurant on a Friday night, we're going to have like board game night on a Friday night, well, there's nothing wrong with having a bag of nibs, a bag of popcorn to share with the family, like things like that. But it's occasional. It's not daily.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the difference. That's where I feel
so
I've been set free.
when you say getting rid of the junk food, it's getting rid of the daily consumption of junk food.
Exactly.
Yeah. And eating it in moderation, like once a week on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's interesting because one of the things I've been thinking about too, and we haven't really talked about this, is since starting up the exercise at night.
Yes.
That's something that we've just started up with we have some new,
all our new
schedules and routines and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so doing the workout at night.
Yeah.
I'm actually finding, I've done it once so far, but.
Hey, once, man, that's good. Momentum.
Even in my mind, I'm like, it actually dissuades me from wanting to have junk food at night.
That's true. Oh,
so
absolutely.
Sitting in front of the TV for a long extended period of time goes hand in hand with eating junk food for me. But doing a workout and then doing a bit of reading and watching a show.
Yep.
I have no desire, or I feel like I'm gonna have no desire. I've only done it once.
Yep.
To chow down on junk food during the week. But I had that thought too of like, doesn't mean I don't want to do it on the weekend.
Right. Well, and you might find too, especially again with the workouts in the evening, because I noticed this last night for me. Like, I ate enough in dinner last night, but a part of me wanted to eat more. I ate enough. I know, again, I wasn't tracking my calorie intake perfectly, but I know what I ate was enough. I'm sustained. My body is happy from a caloric deficit standpoint. I'm good. But a part of me wanted to go get more. Right? Because that's just what we do, right? We go get more.
Well,
right?
especially if it's one of the favorites.
You're like, I love fish. There's more. Go get more. And well, it's fish. Who cares? Get more. Right? But I know I'm going to go do a workout. So I don't want to fill my gut up.
Also, there's that. There's the after not wanting to junk food out, but then there's also not wanting to be so full.
You don't want to be so full that you don't want to work out, or you don't push yourself to work out, or you feel bloated, or like, I'm gonna puke all over the exercise mat here. It's like Right? So then suddenly for me, that gave a little bit of a mind shift as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So again, you eat enough, you're sustained, you're satisfied, and then you rest a little bit, about 45 minutes, an hour, and then, okay, now it's time to work out.
Yeah. And one of the things I've been thinking about is, like it's exactly what you said about, it's not about the rules.
Right.
It's about what is my overall lifestyle.
Right.
And I would say for both of us, we could easily say our overall lifestyle has improved.
Absolutely.
Dramatically.
1,000%. Yeah.
And, that's what we want. We just want, it's not, I don't think we ever went into WildFit going, I'm never going to this again, or I'm never going to that again. We went into it wanting a healthy lifestyle.
Because we wanted to live a life that's well. Like focusing on our wellness again, looking at Danielle's blood sugar numbers, looking at our weight, looking at our energy level, looking at our pain, and pain things, intolerance that we were dealing with, and saying, well, that's not the way, we don't want to live sick.
Because I've lived sick before.
Yeah, we don't want to be lethargic and tired and in pain and medication and sleepless nights and all of those things. It's not the way we feel called to live. And no one does.
No, and
I've never met someone who feels that they want to live sick.
No, and a lot of people are sick without any control.
Right.
But this is something that we did have.
We had
something
total
that we
control
could do.
over it because
something we could do.
Because it was food related. Yeah. And so we made the choice to handle our food to give the lifestyle we wanted. Instead of letting food control us, and the food would dictate the type of life that we would be living.
Yeah.
Because that's the alternative.
Yeah.
You eat whatever you want, be addicted to all this food, and then the food is going to dictate the kind of life that you live.
Being addicted to all kinds of food, because we recognize, because we have been there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we could probably sit in a room full of people in a circle and say, "Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm an addict."
Absolutely.
Because we have been addicted.
Yep.
And what I understand about alcoholics, it's probably similar with foodaholics.
Right.
Where once you're addicted, you always have that.
It's always there. That tendency is there.
Foodaholicness.
Yep.
And so we understand.
Absolutely.
Like for me, my whole life.
Yep.
For you, would you say your whole life?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and again, because how do you become addicted to some of these things and this has been the whole point of our journey, right? This wellness journey of how the spiritual and the emotional and the physical are combined, right? Sometimes we turn to physical things to comfort our spiritual things or comfort our emotional issues, right? It's like, oh, God feels really far. God doesn't love me. Eat a bag of Twizzlers. Or,
because that brings God.
It brings the Holy Spirit in when you open up that bag of Twizzlers or chocolate-covered peanuts.
It feels like it in the moment.
But it can't in the moment, right? You get this blast of Holy Spirit when you get the chocolate-covered peanuts in the moment. Just kidding. Right? Or the same thing. Or an emotional woundedness or anything like that you're wrestling with.
Whatever that thing is that we turn to,
exactly.
For us, it has been food.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so... yeah, just learning that there's other ways. And so what have you replaced turning to a bag of Twizzlers or whatever else with?
Well, again, so I've been, and we've been talking about this for a long time on this podcast, is the journey of wellness. Like, what do I just enjoy? So instead of turning to chocolate-covered peanuts or Twizzlers or junk food or popcorn, all these things, it's like, well, read a book that I enjoy. Listen to music that I enjoy. We've been joking around a lot over the last few weeks is like how I've become an outdoor cat. Like just being out in the garden. Yes. Right? Like go out into our vegetable garden. Go out into our patio set. Go sit in our, $500 inflatable hot tub. Like again, we're not living like rich people, but we're very blessed. We're very rich. And so just enjoy those things. Read a Superman comic. Like those type of things. Have been bringing a lot of joy and a lot of comfort and are building towards the lifestyle that I want to be living.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you?
For me, I really try to refocus and go like, what is the need?
Right.
Because if I don't actually know what I'm feeding, then I'm not able to address what that need is.
Yeah.
So if I realize there's actually, I'm feeling bored, or I'm feeling I deserve, or I'm
I
feeling,
deserve.
right? Like,
Yep.
oh, it's been a tough day, so I deserve time in front of the TV eating whatever.
Yep.
It's like, I'm at a spot now where I can actually identify the backwards thinking of that, where
Right.
it's like, it actually brings death.
Right.
Sitting and eating something that's not good for me, good for my
Yep.
health,
Right.
and sitting in front of the TV because I deserve it,
Yeah.
actually doesn't bring life. It
Yeah.
brings death.
Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm at a point now where it's like, no, what is actually life-giving for me? And so it starts first thing in the day with having my quiet time.
Right.
And so quiet time with God. My quiet time with God is what is the most life-giving thing for me.
Right.
And sometimes it's the biggest battle,
Sure. Of course it is.
right?
Yep.
And so I know how life-giving it is, and I know how much of a difference it makes for me in my day.
Right.
And turning my thoughts back to God and turning in prayer throughout the day.
Right.
Like, those things are beyond, like, I guess what comes out of those are far beyond sitting back on my lazy boy and chowing down.
Right. Absolutely. Amen.
So yeah, just putting things in its proper. Like, I was actually feeling earlier today, like I actually feel like the schedule that we have in place. You and I have our quiet times at different times, and wake up times at different times, or our workout at a certain time in the day. Like, I actually find the routine and schedule that we're building is so refreshing and so balanced. And exactly what I need. So it's like, it's not a matter of it's too hard to make it all work. It's a matter of I have to make it all work in order to
make it work.
Make
To make life work. To make life work. Exactly.
It's all these things are life-giving.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So now that we've wrapped up this WildFit challenge, would you quick summary? Would you recommend WildFit to friends and family and to our listeners?
Absolutely, I would, and I have.
Pros and cons.
Okay.
Summary pros and cons of your recommendation of WildFit.
Pros and cons of my recommendation of WildFit. So pros, I really recommend to anybody to really pare back what you're eating so that you can, because I've done this before, so it's not a matter of the WildFit adventure itself being new to me. In its packaging, it's new to me, but paring back what you're eating to very basic so that you have a really clear picture of this going into my mouth does this to me. Like, I think most people are not aware of if they have intolerances and what those intolerances are and how it's affecting them. Even if it's just in sluggishness or whatever, because there's so many things that are in our current day diet that affects us that we don't even realize. So that's number one. Number two, that is new for me is because I wasn't diabetic when I did all this elimination diet stuff before, the WildFit journey has helped me to get my numbers into pre-diabetic numbers, which is pretty amazing. Not pre-diabetic, non-diabetic numbers. And that's amazing. There was a time when doctors would have said, you can't do that.
Oh, I know.
So
they still do. Some of them.
So food, prayer, all the things that have gone into being delivered from addictions, like all of that, I think is really important.
Nice.
So those two things are my top pros. Weight loss as well. If you want to do it and you're motivated to do it and to get into that deep spring for whatever period of time you need to be in the deep spring, then yes, I would definitely highly encourage it for that.
Okay.
Now, cons, I would say, there are moments, I think, of, is this guy like way too far out there? But he's very good about it. It comes back to you choose. Choose. Here's some teaching about these different various things that you're going to be eating or not eating or choosing not to eat. But I think that, he has some pretty extreme views on things. So that would be one con. The other con is, of course, expense, right? And so I think it's quite an expensive course if you buy it individually. We've gotten it through Mind Valley, which we spent a certain amount, which was still a pretty good,
significant
good
amount of money. Yeah.
But at least we had it for a year's time, and we could access WildFit and a whole bunch of other teachings.
But we didn't.
We really didn't. We did it for WildFit because it was cheaper to do it that way than it was to order WildFit on its own.
Right.
So yeah, overall, I absolutely would recommend it. And I also look at and think, we don't tend to put money into this kind of industry,
right?
Because I don't know why. Like, we put money, we'll get a gym membership
and not go.
But to take a course like this and go through the process, I think you're valuable. I'm valuable.
Yeah.
I think it's important to look at, ourselves, but that's something I never would have had as a mindset before, because I always put myself last.
Right.
But I've learned how much God values me,
right,
and how much I can value myself and my own well-being.
Right.
And so I think that's an important thing for people to remember, especially if you're a mom or if you're, a woman leader. I know we can tend to put ourselves kind of on the back burner. So that's what I would say. Yeah. How about you? Pros and cons?
So I'll start with the cons as well. Because a lot of the stuff coming out of this is kind of counter what modern day medicine tells us, right? So, and we're so conditioned by modern day Western medicine, right? It's like, well, you just need another pill, 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 or you just need surgery, right? Like all these things. And again, I'm not bashing modern medicine.
There's a big need
for it, right?
Yeah.
And that's good. But when we use it as a response to something that could have been dealt another way, I think that's the danger of it.
Yeah.
Right? And so because some of this teaching is so opposite of what we would hear from the mainstream medicine, it can sound a little fake, right? And it can be and so the average, I've tried to have conversations with people about some of the things I've been learning. Even about dairy intolerance, as an example. I remember I was on a missions trip with a bunch of pastors, and I'm talking about how, the research says, most people have some level of dairy intolerance, because we're not meant to eat dairy.
And then you sound like the quack?
Well, you sound like the crazy person, right? It's that's not true. 80% of people are not lactose intolerant. It's I didn't say 80% of people are lactose intolerant. I said we all have a level of intolerance. Whether you notice it or not, doesn't matter. But your body notices it, right? And so some of this teaching, it can come across as so out there that if you're not ready for that, you might just turn it off.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when you watch these documentaries about food. It's
very hard to watch.
So hard to watch. Talking about GMOs and all the fat in the food and the food industry and how they put stuff in there to make it addictive so that you buy more. Less nutrition, more addiction, right? So you keep buying their food and you're not being nourished, right? When you start studying that stuff, the rabbit hole goes really far. So that can be a con, right, for some people, but you got to just work through that.
So it's helpful to learn some of those things, but it can make you seem like you're way out there.
Right, but that's the food revolution that WildFit's trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Trying to open your eyes to the stuff. And DDPY is doing the same thing, trying to get you to see these things about, food.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of a con. You got to realize that you're going to come across a little bit like a nut job. You're going to be one of those people. Okay? You're going to be one of those people, but you got to embrace that.
Yeah.
2 is the cost. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
But you have I viewed this not as an expense, but this is an investment. Right? This is an investment in our lives, an investment in our marriage, an investment in our ministry, and an investment into the work of the kingdom of God. That's the way I've really had to view this. Right? So we don't tend to invest in ourselves, right? Or if we do, we think of it in different ways. And so that can be a bit of a con.
Yeah.
The pros is the teaching's very accessible. The teaching's not very overwhelming. It's bite-sized teaching.
Yeah.
Daily daily the first 2 weeks or the first week, and then it goes to Monday, Friday teachings for the remainder of the program. It's very digestible. It's very easy to follow along. Digestible. I didn't even realize I said that. You know, but it's very manageable for busy lifestyles, and it's very easy to implement because it's not a change everything about your life on week one, right? It's slow increments of change,
which some people find very difficult to do.
They find it difficult.
They want to see the change immediate.
Lasting change always happens through slow incremental change. Very, 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 very few people get permanent results from drastic change all at once. Some people do. Most don't. Right? So follow the data. Most don't. Assume you're the most. That's what I did. Assume I'm the most. Like if 95% of people don't experience massive change or permanent change, then I have to assume I'm the 95. And then follow that. So that's kind of my view on that as well too.
Great.
So definitely recommend it. Cool. So that was our WildFIt Challenge journey. Great job. Good job, team. Team Press over the win. And so upcoming now with our podcast, as you kind of just said in the introduction, we've got a whole lot of change happening.
We do.
So you quit on me.
Well, oh, wow.
Okay, so because Danielle and I work together at the church in ministry. So Danielle's been an associate pastor at the church for the last 9 years, where I've been the senior pastor for the last 13 years. So I got Danielle's resignation, a few weeks ago.
It was not a shock. I talked to his husband about it before.
That whole enmeshment of our relationship, so she totally quit me and abandoned me.
No.
I'm just kidding.
With your support.
With my blessing, my big blessing.
And pushing me out.
And kicking you out the door to blossom and fly, be free.
So I'm moving on, right?
Yes.
To an organization called Safe Families Canada in the Ottawa chapter.
That's right.
And so I'm moving on to be the family placement coordinator. And really excited about that. And actually, it does kind of fit into my wellness journey because since having had a burnout, I haven't gone back to full-time work.
That's right. Yep.
This is my first time, like I've done full-time work since then where it's like,
okay, I'll
do a week of teaching while I'm doing part-time at the church and things like that. But consistent full-time, one full-time job, I haven't done that in a few years.
Right.
And so that speaks to my health and wellness, which it just kind of occurred to me.
Right.
That like, why was I only working part-time? Right.
That's why.
And like I talked about, I actually feel like very much in balance going back to full-time and in this new position. And I feel like it's something that God called me to.
Right.
And God called me out of ministering at the church and into ministering in this kind of parachurch organization and being there for kids and families in need and in crisis, building up teams. So really excited about that and just seeing Jesus at work in the community of Ottawa and outside as well. I'll be getting to know and hear some of the stories nationwide.
Right.
And just to be a part of that in times where, so basically it's, helping families to not have to navigate the child welfare system if they have just simple supports in the right timing, so that when they need it, when they're having a short-term crisis, that there's families that can help support them and support their children as they go through that crisis, and then have the kids, brought back to mom and dad, or mom or dad.
Love it. So good. And so what that means is, so we're going to be doing some tweaking with our schedule.
Yes.
And particularly when it comes to our revitalized coaching. So the coaching that we were starting to do through things like this podcast, through the teaching app that we had. And so a lot of that stuff is going to be scaled back from Danielle's perspective in this season. She's still going to pop back onto the podcast from time to time. But I think what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is kind of continue this revitalized coaching, this journey of wellness, physically, spiritually, mentally. But I'm going to kind of take in a little bit of on a different pathway, because I'm going to be sitting here by myself for a lot of it. And so I just completed, a couple of months ago, my certification to be a DDPY fast track coach, to provide coaching through that means. And that program is going to be launching, fingers crossed, in the next couple of weeks. And I'm still very passionate about wellness, very passionate about spiritual wellness, leadership development, those type of things. So the podcasts and the coaching service that we've been providing is going to continue, but more kind of from that perspective. DDPY fast track coaching, my classes that I've been doing, the wellness things that way. So it's going to be tweaked, and there's going to be some changes upcoming in the next few weeks. But it's going to continue. It's just going to look a little bit differently, and Danielle will be coming as the occasional guest from time to time. And
so you'll still have me?
Anytime, as much as I can. But that sounded really awkward, actually. Yeah. Awkward pause. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so it's been great, and my hope is that you've been blessed and you will continue to be blessed, and that your health and wellness and all around spiritual, emotional, physical would be strong. Because I can't think of the scripture right now, but like moving from strength to strength.
Right.
Do you know what I'm referring to?
Put me on the spot.
Yeah.
We were just reading that a few weeks ago, weren't we?
So anyways, it's that I think it's a big part of it all, right? And so I'm excited about this new season, and just praying blessing over each and every one of you.
Exactly. So again, thank you so much for joining us here in the Revitalize podcast. So again, if you need to connect with us, please find us on social media. If these resources have been helpful, we'd love for you to comment and share. It really means the world to us as you do that. And until the next episode, where it's going to be a little new, we'll talk to you again then. God bless you, everybody.
God bless you.
You've been listening to the Revitalize podcast. Thanks for joining us. If you found this content helpful, please consider subscribing, sharing on social media, and leaving a review. This helps us to help even more people. Join us next time for more insights on emotional, spiritual, and physical wellness in your leadership.